You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. The following podcast contains spoilers and rude words. We watch TV. We watch TV. Hello, everybody. There's the right fader. Oh, you know, these things happen. These things happen, Dave. My granddad used to say you get 3 bites of the cherry. But here we are.
Not sexual innuendo.
How you been, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been good. Because we got to the movies this week.
Better than last week.
Well, I mean, absolutely. Better than, I would say, the last 10 weeks.
Well, that's bullshit, because there's been some good stuff, but whatever.
Let's get straight into it, because this week we are talking about Alien Romulus, a 2024 American science fiction horror film directed by Fede Alvarez. Is it Fede? Am I saying that right?
I call him Fetty, because I'm Australian.
Yeah, I know. I went to say
have
Fede,
no
and then I
idea
was
what
like,
it's
that
meant to
can't be right. Who co-wrote the screenplay with Rodo Sayagues, produced by Scott Fee Productions and Brandywine Productions. It is the 7th installment in the Alien franchise, set between the events of Alien and Aliens. It stars Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, Archie Renault, Isabella Merst, Spike Fern, and Eileen Wu. And what is it about, mate?
It is pretty much a sequel to Alien, and follows a young woman, Rain, and her adoptive synthetic brother, Andy, as they team up with her ex and his sister and the sister's boyfriend to go and try and get hold of some cryogenic pods and cryogenic pod power, so that they can get off the fucking shithole mining planet that they are on. Yep. After her contract is just inexplicably doubled by Wayland Yutani, who we're starting to suspect possibly might not have our best interests at heart. And on the space station where they go to find this stuff, lo and behold, alien shenanigans ensue.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Well, let's get straight into it. Firstly, did you know that this was going to be as much of a direct sequel to Alien walking into it? I had no idea.
I had, apart from the very first teaser trailer, I think it was, that was just enough to make me think, this looks like it might be quite good. I've avoided everything. I didn't want any spoilers. I hadn't read any reviews. I didn't know when it was set, or if it was before, after, during, whatever, anything to do with the franchise that we've had so far. So I went in almost completely cold. You?
Yeah, no, exactly the same. I had not seen a trailer. I had not seen anything about it. I didn't know when it was set. I was keen because it's our boy Fetty and it's Alien. Yep. And look, I'm one of the rare people in the world who didn't even hate the prequels. Like, I actually quite liked Prometheus and Covenant.
I didn't mind Prometheus. So it was obviously a flawed film, but I didn't mind it. The sequel to Prometheus, and the name escapes me at the moment, Alien something. Covenant, I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
The only one I've actively disliked, sorry, Julio, because I know you think it's probably the best in the franchise, but Alien Resurrection, I thought was
Resurrection is the
dog shit.
Yeah.
But I like, I'm on record, I think Alien 3 is a very solid film. I know that production-wise, it was an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
It's not what Fincher intended, and I wish we'd seen what it could have been.
Yeah, well, particularly if you watch
is good.
And particularly if you watch the assembly cut, which is the only way I've seen that movie, I think it's, fairly good.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I can't see inside Fincher's head. Obviously, if he is not happy with what the film that was released, I'm sure what could have been is infinitely better because it's Fincher. But if you kind of leave that aside, I think Alien 3 is a perfectly solid film.
Yeah,
and I'm apologies to Paul Brazulla, but I'm famously less effusive about Aliens than a lot of people. I think it's a
so you're in the same camp
action
as
film.
me. Yes, I much prefer Alien.
The ending
to
is
Aliens.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
The big boss fight at the end is utterly ridiculous and,
Yeah.
and throws all of the realism out the window. But it's a good, solid action movie that just unfortunately has one of the worst child performances in history. But it's a good
Mercy.
film. But the people who are like, oh, opinions are divided. Some people like Alien. Some people are like, no, bullshit. Alien is a perfect masterpiece. Aliens is a solid action.
I agree. I'm in the same camp as you. I think Alien is far superior. So that's the other reason I was really excited for this. Was I was hoping we were going to get a real return to its roots
having
in
a
horror.
horror director, I was hoping would take it back to, because the first film obviously is a horror film. It just happens to be in space.
Exactly.
The second film is a sci-fi action film.
And
that
then
is
from there we kind of stay in the sci-fi action genre.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I was really excited for this. And look, from my perspective, I'm happy to report that even though I was excited, which can sometimes be a bad thing because then you're fighting against expectations, my expectations were met and exceeded. I really, really loved this film. It's not a perfect film.
I'm glad you're liking things.
It's not a perfect. Yeah, I know it's been a while, right? It's not a perfect film.
Not since Fast 10 have you been this enthusiastic.
I must say, it's not as much of a horror as I was expecting it to be.
No,
I think it falls in between the horror and action kind of landscape. Is quite between those two. But I liked the characters. I was expecting it to be much more of a standalone kind of, one of those things where there were Easter eggs, and you could like pinpoint things that alluded to the other films. I was not expecting it to be anywhere near as direct as it is, and I for one loved it.
I loved the ties to the first.
I didn't think we were going to get like the Ash type, like I didn't think any of that was going to happen.
I'll ask your opinions on the CG involved there later, because I have opinions. The ties to Alien I really liked. I wish I'd had time to go back and watch all the rest of the films, which I do intend to do, because I don't recall particularly Prometheus and Covenant well enough.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are references in here that tie to those films.
I think
so. And there must be a reason that our new variant on the Xenomorph that we get towards the end of this has such visual similarities to that precursor being from Prometheus. And I don't recall it well enough, and I apologize to listeners who might be thumping themselves in the head with something solid because I'm fucking it up. But there is that being in Prometheus, and it can't be coincidental that the face of this thing looks almost as the same to me anyway.
Yeah.
This blue bald thing.
Yeah.
And they make reference to the Promethean formula or something, that the thing that's in those little injector capsules.
Yeah. Let's start on the cast. I thought Kaylee Spaney was wonderful. I thought
she's on a fucking tear between this and Civil War, isn't she?
Oh, isn't she just? I don't remember seeing her before Civil War, but she was fantastic in that, and she's fantastic in this. She is absolutely fast becoming, for me anyway, as far as the young actresses go, she is going to have a massive career ahead of her after this year.
Although, on the flip side, don't fucking put Isabel Merchant in a film and then underutilize her like this. She may as well have been any fucking actress. She had about 2 lines of dialogue, and apart from a little bit of emoting at the end before dying, she had fuck all to do. And I came into this wanting to see Dora versus Xenomorphs, and one of the few things that really pissed me off was how underutilized, and given that she is probably the most successful person in the cast in terms of career so far. They're all young people, and most of them I've seen in other things.
Yeah, it's a much younger cast than I was expecting too. This to start with, I was like, this is like a CW version of Alien. I was surprised.
Kaylee Spaney, Civil War obviously looms large, but other than that, as we've said, Kaylee Spaney is kind of unknown to us. Whereas Isabella Merchant, she's had, whether you like it or not, I know you do, she's had Madam Web. She's about to be in Supergirl for James Garner's Hawk Girl. She was Dora, which was a fucking spectacular film, the Dora movie. I loved it.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of stuff over, quite a few years, and was the second kind of build in the marketing. Most of the marketing for this was Kaylee Spaney, Isabella Merchant, Fede Alvarez. no one else is a name.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you kind of think, where's her character? She is non-existent.
She does disappear for a lot of the
Her
film.
character is pregnant woman.
Yeah, that is true. And, you know, I mean, this is a fairly short movie. This has to be the shortest film in the Alien franchise, surely.
Probably,
like,
yeah.
This is clocking in at under 2 hours. You know, only just, but still, like, I'm certain
and
that
there's
this
Resurrection.
is
I can't remember how long it is, but it's got to be shorter than all the others.
for sure. And given that there are so many characters, and sure, I think, again, this is quite similar to the first one. The first one, really, a lot of the other characters are there as fodder. Like you said, it's a horror movie. It's a slasher movie. And no, like, they're wonderful, and they're more fleshed out than the average horror movie, which is why Alien looms so large.
One of the few issues that I have, and this is not a perfect film. The original film, I think, every character has more to them than kind of a one note.
Yes.
You spend time with Harry Dean Stanton and Yaphet Kotto and these, and there is time spent, because it is a slow burn horror film. It's not jump scares. It's you know, it's like The Exorcist. It builds its characters, and every single person in the cast, Veronica Cartwright, all of them. You know, there's an amount of depth to all of them in this film, other than, I would say, Rain and Andy.
Yeah.
Everything else is one note. There is no character development or anything. I had to read the Wikipedia page to even know that the guy was her ex and not just a friend of the family or whatever.
Yeah, I could have done with an extra 10.
Threadbare.
I could have done with an extra 10 to 15 minutes to really flesh out the rest of the cast. Because
Yeah.
my one big criticism about the film is that I do think that the pacing feels a bit strange. You know, you brought up how Alien is a slow burn horror movie. This simultaneously feels slow burn.
Well, the first
and
act
very
I found
fast
really
moving.
dragged.
Yeah, it does. It takes a while before you get to the action. But like you say, there's also not a lot of character development there.
No, I don't know why it
and
takes
then once
so
you
long.
get into the action, it does feel quite fast moving. And I do think that
almost rushed.
Yeah, I do think that this movie really could have done with an extra 10 to 15 minutes to really flesh all of that out.
Yeah, and I think part of the story is partly to blame, because they're not going on a long trip, so there's not time, like in Alien or Aliens or these things where they're, you know, spending weeks and weeks together getting somewhere on the other side of the galaxy or anything. They're just going, you know, slightly overhead to a space station that's about to crash into the rings of the planet that they're on. So there's no journey in which to build character and relationships.
Yeah.
So you do kind of just get dropped in it after this prolonged, kind of drawn out period on the planet before anything really bloody happens.
Yeah, I agree. And you could have trimmed that entire first segment as well, because so much of that is world building of a world that's been established for 6 films now.
And it's not even good world building.
Well, it's just, you know, it's the Wayland Company.
I mean,
and
the rest of the film, I think the sound mixing and the sound editing is fabulous. But that first it's not short, the first act on the planet before they go, let's head up to the thing.
Yeah.
I found half the dialogue very hard to hear. I missed a lot of what was being said between her and Andy. I didn't really get their relationship at all.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I did.
I mean, I kind of pieced it together, but I missed a lot of the dialogue because, I mean, maybe it was just the screening I was in, but the sound mix felt off to me.
Yeah, okay.
The background noise was too high. The dialogue was too muffled. I know I missed a lot of stuff that probably pieced that together a lot better than kind of what I put together myself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't have that issue.
And that added to making that first act feel really fucking... I was until I guess they took off.
Yeah.
In their dinky little ship, I was thinking, oh God, this is going to be really... this is not as good as I was hoping it was going to be.
Right.
This is all bordering on boring.
Yeah. See,
I better pick up soon.
I didn't have that issue, and I thought the relationship between them was quite good. And I really liked David Johnson as Andy. I thought
he was great.
I thought he was fantastic. I thought that their relationship was really interesting and well evolved and well developed.
Well,
And
particularly because he kind of plays two different androids.
yes, definitely, yeah. Once they put that new chip in him,
differentiates them very, very well.
yeah, he does, yeah. And even he does that perfect android thing where he's so it's like that uncanny valley thing. Like until he first gets attacked on the planet while she's in getting her contract extended and he starts bleeding the milk. I didn't know that he was an android.
No, I thought he was a trying to think of the word you can use instead of the R word. Intellectually handicapped
yes, yeah.
brother.
So I really, really liked that development, and I liked the way that played out, and I loved that device of having his chip kind of replaced and him kind of being those two different. Yes,
and suddenly becoming, because his programming initially, he's been kind of pirated by the dad before he died.
Yes,
so that's why he's operating at a substandard level and is kind of very simple. And then as soon as she puts the factory settings back in or puts Rook in there, suddenly he's all business and his face, everything conveys that.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic.
Perfect face for playing Andy.
Yes, yeah.
He perpetually looked sad and confused.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get straight into the meat and potatoes then. So once they do take off, it all starts happening fairly quickly. It's not that long after they take off that they discover Rook. And
no, basically, I mean, considering that this thing is probably the size of New York that they're going to, they go around two corners and they found the thing they're looking for.
Yeah.
And with very little difficulty, get him online and stuff starts. There's no walking down long corridors, working out which of the 9,000 decks they need to go to find stuff.
No, which is a good thing.
I mean, I could have done with at least a schematic of a map or something to indicate how they know where to go. To tell you one thing and there's probably 3 or 4 things that irritated me about this film that frustrated me. One of which is, this is not a tiny little shuttlecraft that's sort of bobbing around in an asteroid
it's huge
field.
and it's virtually split into 2 burrows.
Is enormous.
Yeah.
How do Weyland-Yutani not know it's there, given that it's their space station and it was the home to the most important thing that they are doing, apparently, according to Rook?
Yes. Look, obviously, that is the bit you need to suspend disbelief for.
And it's a fairly big suspension of disbelief. Yeah. All they needed to do was have it in some sort of an asteroid field or something, not so close to not in the sky of the planet.
Yeah.
That irritated.
So, but of course, once they meet Rook, things just start going south. Like once again, we get the full kind of scale and evolution of the alien, because you start with, the face hugger, you go to the chest burster, you go to the xenomorph.
Was that library of face huggers in suspended animation, then you see the temperature slowly rising.
Yeah.
They were great.
I thought that once you get on the spaceship, this movie didn't miss for me. I thought that it was paced really well from that point, apart from maybe feeling a little rushed in some sections. I thought that the visuals were fantastic. I mean, look, the Xenomorph is one of the greatest monster designs of all time, and I think that
I would say the greatest.
Yes, and I think that this movie really did it justice. I think that it's put together really, really well. This is a beautiful
really
looking
cool
movie.
Moments. Given that we know it's an alien film, we know what the thing looks like.
Yeah.
For Alvarez to be able to have moments like when they laser open that kind of space nugget thing
in the cold open,
and you have the slow reveal of the indentation of the coiled alien.
Yeah.
To still be able to evoke those sorts of reactions from Geiger's design when we all know what the fucking thing looks like and we're just waiting for it, I think is a testament to his direction. And to the quality of obviously the creature design. But those moments shouldn't have worked as well as they did. So props to him for that.
Yeah, same. And look, I mean, I wasn't scared at any point in this movie, but it had tension. It, I didn't at any point really feel like the cast had plot armor. Like whenever they did get out of something,
No,
I
well,
felt like
I
it was
thought Boyfriend
earned.
was going to make it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There was lots of great tension. That scene where they turn the gravity off and they're floating and all of the acid is coming at them and they've got to duck around it.
That was so good.
Fucking genius. One of the best scenes in an Alien movie for me.
And unlike a lesser director, he didn't throw physics out the window at any point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was there going, oh, well, when the gravity comes back on, they're
yeah.
fucked.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They were fucked.
Yes.
When the gravity came on, he didn't forget there was all this fucking acid floating around.
Yeah.
It did what it should have done.
Yeah.
And I think that at no point did I kind of stop in my seat and go, oh, that's a bit convenient. He's forgotten that this would... everything kind of made sense.
100%. So you mentioned earlier on about the CGI with Rook, who obviously
thought Rook looked fucking terrible.
I thought Rook looked great. I mean, obviously,
I bow to your I mean, I would have preferred that they just had an actor and didn't try and CG Ian Holm into the film. It wasn't necessarily, he can't have been the only design for a synthetics at the time, because we've got Andy, and this film is set pretty much, less than a lifetime, because we know.
Well, I mean,
pre-Alien. This is before Aliens.
Yes, and even from Prometheus and Covenant, there are other androids.
Yeah, well, you've got David, obviously, out of those. Yeah, Fetty probably couldn't afford Fassbender, but there's no reason for it to be Ian Holm other than to be a kind of a nudge, wink, wink.
But I don't know. As someone who really loves Alien, and I'm in the camp with you, Alien is a masterpiece.
It's a perfect 5
better
out of 5
than
film.
Aliens.
I love it.
I don't know. There was something. Look, the member berries got me. The member berries got me.
They did me a little bit as well. But that's probably what made it worse, because then I'm going, God, it's so obviously CG. Everything else in the film looks phenomenal.
But he's got all the milk all over him, and it worked for me.
Yeah, but you can do that without it being CG. I mean, Bishop, he did not look realistic the way Bishop looks in Aliens.
Yeah,
because it's
because
not
Bishop is played by a real
CG.
person. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I would have rather not have the Ian Holm Easter egg and have it, because it did take me out a bit. How kind of fake that looked compared to everything else. And obviously there's CG throughout everything else, but to me, everything else was seamless. It looked amazing. Some of the expansive shots, particularly with the rings.
Yeah.
God, it's one of the best looking films I've seen this year.
I have to ask,
except for that.
I have to ask, speaking of the nostalgia and the member berries, did you think that "Get Away From Her, You Bitch" was a step too far, or did you kind of cheer a little? Because I was on both sides simultaneously. I fist pumped and then went, "That's so fucking corny."
If he'd left it at "Get Away From Her," because he pauses for a long time,
but you knew it was coming,
so that half the audience are going, "Say it," half the audience are going, "Don't you fucking say it, don't do it," and he did it, and I cringed. It was terrible. There's no reason for him to use that colloquialism or profanity.
It was out of character for Andy.
It was out of character. It was the most overt, fucking in your face slapping with the giant nostalgia dick. And yeah, I hated that.
No, I was all
Get Away
on board.
From Her, I was happy with. That's enough of a nod. You didn't need the bitch, because the bitch didn't fit.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ending then.
Yep. Where we go with the Promethean formula and
because
Dora's one moment in the sun.
So because obviously what happens is that she is pregnant. She gets done by the parasite. The face huggers get her, and I guess what happens.
She's not implanted.
No, it does something different. I guess it implants the fetus, or
no, it doesn't implant anything. That was the thing. So she's been sort of spliced up into the wall in the goo, the way things are, waiting to be implanted and used as host. But Andy says she hasn't. They got to her in time. She hadn't been implanted or anything.
Yeah.
The reason that everything happens is because she jabs herself with the fucking Promethean formula shit that they're trying to get back for Rooks,
Right.
which is extracted from xenomorphs
Yeah.
and is supposed to give humans the ability to regulate their heart rates and all the rest of it, survive in deep space, all the things that the xenomorphs do.
Gotcha.
Um,
And that's why you get the
and
hybrid.
we show the rat being brought back to life and everything.
Yeah.
And then when no one's looking, we see the rat fucking explode.
Yes. Yeah.
So we know this is bad shit that they're taking back. Because she's dying, but they're going to put her in they say, we'll put you in stasis, and then when we get back to the planet, they'll be, we'll have medicine and we'll be able to fix you up. She doesn't think she's going to have the strength to get to the ship because she sees it's like 3 levels up or whatever, and so she jabs herself with one of these things to try, thinking, oh, it will heal me, even though we don't kind of know what it's going to do. But that's why what comes out of her is a human fetus. It's not a xenomorph just using her as a host.
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
It's fucked with her fetus and advanced its growth and whatever. And that's why we get, and that's why I want to go back and watch Prometheus and Covenant again, because I think that there's some tenuous link between those Promethean forebears in Prometheus, the big shiny blue Dr. Manhattan looking guys.
Yeah.
And the xenomorphs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this thing that we get, which I think the creature design on this thing is pretty fucking good.
It is good. My issue is that as much as I enjoy it, and I love the idea of a human xenomorph hybrid, the problem for me is that the xenomorph is such a perfect specimen already, both from a creature design perspective and even just in universe. Like, how many times can they say the xenomorph is the perfect organism? It fucking is. By the time you get to this as the big climax, it was my one issue with the film, is that I'm like, well, this isn't as cool as a xenomorph.
How many times can we have a showdown with a xenomorph?
I know. It's the same is it Alien 3 where you get the white xenomorph, or is that Resurrection?
No, oh God, no. That's the god-awful Resurrection where you get this pig-faced bat thing, which is...
Yeah.
So, Alien, perfect film. Aliens, we get that stupid Queen fight where, vacuum and space aren't a thing. Aliens... the only new thing, you get the dog xenomorph, where it implants in a dog, and that was pretty fucking cool. Resurrection, you get the king alien, which is that pasty, fucking god awful thing.
Yeah. Like I get it. You need to bring something new to the table.
They had to do something different, and I think at least this made sense in universe in terms of the story they were telling. I think it was creepy and scary as fuck. There was unlike Resurrection, where that stupid bat face thing, there was no sense of threat whatsoever.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. This I thought was super creepy, and there was a real sense of threat with it. And I believed the whole final battle, whereas in Aliens, Cameron's film, the final battle, to me, is what lets the whole thing down, because you've got Ripley in the suit, which is not a suit of armor. She's not fucking Iron Man. It's open. The thing could have stabbed her in 2 seconds. It makes no sense. And then she, her feeble human arm is able to withstand the vacuum of space and not get torn out of its socket. It was fucking stupid. Whereas this time around, she's in a suit. She's attached to a fucking winch thing, so she's not relying on human strength to withstand the vacuum.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in that sequence made sense. It was logical. It obeyed the laws of physics and all the rest of it. So for me, the finale of this is superior to Aliens.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I loved this film. I'm a 9 out of 10, and I have to be honest, I need a rewatch. But for
is this your number 2 in the franchise?
That's what I was just going to say. For me, currently, this is my number 2. This, for me, is better than Aliens. and comes right after the original Alien. I really, really, really enjoyed my time with this. I need a rewatch, and to be fair, I need a rewatch of that entire first three with this in the middle. Because the last time I watched them...
I'd love to watch... Actually, I'd love to watch them in sequence.
Because the last time I watched them all was when we did it for the show, which, I mean... I think that was our second marathon, so that must have been 5 years ago that we watched all of them back to back, including...
It was before the drunken Fast and Furious.
It was it was after Fast and Furious, but before Harry Potter, I think.
Really?
I think so.
COVID fucks with you sense of time. I need to rewatch. I don't remember. I know I liked the Scott return, even leaving aside the obvious middle finger he was throwing to everything that came after his film, including Cameron, and retconning the AVP films out of existence.
Yeah.
Leaving all that aside, I did enjoy those films, but I don't remember them well enough, and the two of them are blurred together into kind of one thing. So it's hard I can't really rank these. Yeah. Alien is head and shoulders above all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Whether I would have this above Aliens, I need to rewatch it. Yeah. I think the ending is stronger, but there's so much great stuff in Aliens as an action film. I think the majority of Aliens is a superior film. It's just the ending that lets it down. Whereas this, I think, starts weakly, gets stronger, and has a cool finish.
Yeah.
But Aliens also has better characterization. Yeah. All of those people have a personality. No one in this film, other than probably Rain and Andy, have a personality. So that lets it down.
So how are you scoring this one?
I'm a 7.5.
Yep.
And I would at this stage I'd probably have Aliens as an 8 and Alien as a 10.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are a question mark, other than Resurrection, which is about a 3 because it's fucking dog shit. Julio, it's dog shit. Considering that Resurrection is written by Joss Whedon, directed by Janae Ancaro, who did fucking Delicatessen and City of Lost Children, has probably the best cast out of any film other than the first Alien. How it's such a god-awful mishmash dumpster fire of a film is really a mystery for the ages.
Yeah.
Maybe Julio can explain it.
Well, next week, again, I'm excited. Hopefully, we're having a bit of an upturn with cinema because, as you said at the start, I have not been a happy man the last couple of months. I've disliked just about everything. Ooh. But next week, we're getting to Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut.
I'm very keen for this.
Me too. I'm really interested. I have seen the trailer quite a few times for this. I feel like my cinema's really been pushing it. But I love Alia Shawkat from
the cast
is
incredible on this.
Who I think is an extremely underutilized actress, and I'm really excited to see her in a media
Slater
role.
in there, and one of my personal favorites, Adria Arjona from Memory, is in there.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum not looking like a potato because he's got a beard, so he's a potato with a beard.
So yeah, I'm really curious about this one.
Yeah, Glass Onion meets horror movie.
Yeah. I saw new Blake Lively movie this week. I had a day off work, so when I saw Alien, I did a double feature. That was a piece of crap. I mean, Blake Lively's actually really good in it. She's the one good thing about it. I honestly, I remember really liking her in that shark movie, and I did
Shallows.
watch all. Yes,
that was great.
And I did watch all of
Jaws.
and I did watch all of Gossip Girl. But I haven't really seen her in much outside of those. But I thought she was fantastic. The movie itself is just awful. It's really badly written and just badly.
I'm glad you're saying that because I was one of the reasons I didn't. I mean, other than the fact it didn't really interest me at all, but I didn't want to be slagging it off if it was bad because it from a Me Too era perspective, very bad to slag off a movie that
No. Well, it is getting slagged off very much for that reason, and that's my biggest problem with it. It's a fucking bizarre. At its heart, it's a romance, but it's all about domestic violence and stuff. And like from the moment she meets this guy, he's a walking red flag, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
The trailer makes it look like both the guys are abusive.
then they're not. It's
like,
just it's a bad movie. It's a
love
really
story with the main guy, but
Yeah.
then the other guy appears like he's an abusive ex from before the current abusive guy. It's
just
so problematic.
It's a really problematic movie. It really, really is. And apparently the book is even worse. Like apparently they made changes to make this less problematic. And I watched it and went, wow, this is really cooked in the head. So anyway, next week, Blink Twice, which I'm looking forward to. And in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can find all of the links at pottymouthradio.com.
You did it!
I did it for you.
Did it right!
But I am going to say, still go join the Facebook listener community.
Yes,
that's where you
that's
can
the
get in
most
touch with
important
us. And keep in touch with us. You can see all of the other shows that we're doing. We're still timing to dying over there doing D&D.
Some might say too many shows.
So, yeah, my wife says too many shows, and she's on one of them. So
Yeah. Only herself to blame.
But yeah, so go check out all of them. And yeah, we'll catch you next week. I'm waiting for you to say bye.
Oh.